Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think that's why they're doing the hearing.
Yeah, it looks like 003 has been sent to HSI. So someone will just have to object to the agenda.
Yeah, I got it. Don't worry.
Whose legislative assistant is that?
That's my LA.
Okay, and he can say here.
Well, I didn't say no.
Okay, I'm just not sure what the rules say.
As long as he's here with my consent and I'm present, then
Yeah,
he can be here.
I was just gonna say.
Can we kick the legislative assistant that's currently in the secretary's seat off the floor?
No, we need him.
Here's too much attitude.
Doge, the session hasn't begun. You don't need to seek recognition.
Can I have a gavel so I can beat the
All right, I hereby call this first session of the 72nd Congress into order. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem. Please remain standing for a moment of reflection. You may be seated. Okay, I will now ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Barely.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just kind of chilling right now. The Wi-Fi is not too good. Okay. Read the roll. Senator Prime Maximus. Here. Senator Prime Maximus is present. Senator Dr. Doge Alpha. No, Dr. Doge Alt. My bad. Dr. Doge Alt is present. Senator 9. Senator 9 here. Did Senator 9 proxy? Does anybody know?
Yes.
He did.
Yes.
Okay, he's not here by a proxy. Senator King Jerry. Did he proxy? I see him in the audience.
He did not proxy.
Okay, then Senator King Jerry is absent. Senator Milo.
Present.
Senator Milo is present. Senator Funzone, 73, is absent. Pretty sure he did proxy, so he'd be
He did not proxy.
absent. Thank you. Senator Braverman 1.
Present.
Senator Braverman 1 is present. We have a quorum. We have a quorum, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Seeing that a quorum has been met, we will proceed with our session. We have several items in our executive portion of the agenda for today, and we have several items in our legislative portion of the agenda for today. Mr. Clerk, would you please list the items on the agenda, the legislative items?
On executive business, we have SN001, N001, N001, N003, N004, and N005. In the legislative business, we have HJ Res 7103, HR 7103, HR 7104, HR 7201, SJRes 7201, and SRes 7202.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Assistant Secretary. I'd like to take a moment to remind those in the gallery to please remain silent. Disturbing Senate sessions is a federal crime and you will be prosecuted. Thank you very much. Okay. With the agenda having been read, I will now hear any motions regarding the agenda. The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to strike nomination 003 from the agenda, given that it has not passed the committee yet.
Is there a valid second?
I second.
With a valid second being heard, Mr. Clerk, do we have to vote on whether to strike it or is it struck? Or Mr. Assistant Clerk, if you know. Or if any of the senators know.
You can just take it off the agenda. It's in committee. It's just an error.
Okay, all right.
Thank you,
With
Mr.
a valid
President.
second, the item will be struck from the agenda. I will now hear more motions regarding the agenda. Yes, the senator is recognized. Is there a second? Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna need a reason for that.
Yeah, me as well.
okay.
Mr.
What are we
President.
adding?
Mr. President,
Who was that? Yep, the senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I'd like to invite Senator Doge to the floor to elaborate on their motion.
All right, Senator Doge, you have the floor for a minute.
Read it out for the audience. It says the microphone's broken. All right. So the Senate standing rules. States that this rule must be suspended to add additional legislation. Without passage of this motion, we may not edit or add legislation to the finalized agenda. That's all. You're welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. I do believe that if that is a rule, that it can be suspended if we decide so. Okay, with that being said, I will hear motions regarding the agenda.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I move that the agenda be confirmed.
Is there a valid second?
I second. There's an
Um,
objection.
Okay. Senator Prime, state your objection Senator Doge, please sit down. Correct. Okay, so can whoever wants to add the thing to the agenda, please do that.
Just to verify, Senator Doge was saying Rule 5, Section 1, right?
Yeah.
Senator Doge, you're recognized.
I second.
Okay, with a valid second being heard, we will move to a vote. A vote on what again? We are suspending.
We're dispensing of Rule 5, Section 1.
Okay, will the secretary please issue a roll call vote?
Of course, I'll start the roll call right now. Senator Prime Maximus, how do you vote? Aye or nay?
Aye.
Senator, can you log that down, Andy? Senator Dr. Doge _0 alt. How do you vote? Dr. Doge _0 alt votes aye. Senator Milo Llama.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Senator Braverman 1, how do you vote?
Aye.
With 4 ayes, I'm pretty sure. That's 4 ayes, 0 abstains, 0 nays, Mr. President.
Okay. So the rule is suspended. Now I believe we still have to hear a motion for the item to be added to the agenda.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay. I will now hear motions regarding the agenda. Senator Doge. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, with a valid second being heard, Senate Resolution 7203 will be added to the legislative portion of the agenda at the end. Does that require a vote?
Probably not, since you have control of the agenda.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
barring any objection, I move for unanimous consent on the last motion. So we don't have to go through another vote again.
Okay, is there
Unless we have to go
objection?
through the whole Senate standing rules process, but I feel as if being on the floor in a session, we don't necessarily need to if there's no objections.
Yes, okay. So are there any objections to the senator's motion? All right, hearing none, the senator's motion is adopted. Senator Doge?
Type UC instead of unanimous consent. Just do UC.
Nice. I second.
Senator, the motion is not a secondable motion.
Oh.
Are there any objections to the senator's motion? Hearing none, the motion is granted, and the item will be added to the agenda. One moment, Senator Doge, please sit down. Okay, I will now be hearing motions on the agenda.
Mr. President.
One moment. Senator Prime, please do not speak without being recognized first. Who's asking to be recognized?
Senator from Wyoming, Mr. President.
Okay. The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
Barring any objection, I move to strike nomination 004 from the agenda as well, given that it has not passed committee. Sorry, given that it was moved to committee and has not passed through unanimous consent.
Okay. Are there any objections to the senator's motion? Hearing none, the motion is adopted and the items
Mr.
will be
President.
moved. The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
With that being said, seeing no other anything else needing removed from the agenda and nothing else needing to be added from the agenda or to the agenda, I move that the agenda is confirmed.
Is there a second?
There's an
There's an
objection on the
objection.
floor.
Senator Doge, please state your objection. Okay, so are you motioning to add it to the agenda?
Like,
Has it passed committee or not?
It's past committee. Nomination
Okay.
2.
And is it on the agenda or not?
It is not on the agenda, which is what Doge is trying to.
Okay,
Yeah, what-
good. So I will be hearing motions regarding the agenda.
Mr. President.
Senator Doge is recognized. Okay, are there any objections to the senator's motion? Hearing none, it is adopted and the nomination shall be added to the executive portion of the agenda. One moment. Okay, Deputy Sergeant at Arms, I am cool. You are directed to remove members of the gallery who are disrupting this session. With that, I will be hearing motions regarding the agenda.
Mr.
Mr.
President.
President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I retract.
Mr. President.
The senator from New York is recognized.
I move to approve tonight's agenda via unanimous consent.
Are there any objections to the senator's motion? Hearing none, it is adopted. The agenda is approved. Okay, we will move on to the executive portion of the agenda. The floor is now open for any motions or remarks
Mr. President, point of order.
regarding the executive agenda. The senator from New York is recognized.
You have missed the opening remarks.
Okay. That's all right. It's okay. Please sit down, Mr. Assistant. Okay, the floor is now open to opening remarks on today's agenda.
Okay, Mr. President.
The senator from New York is recognized.
I move for the floor.
All right, the floor is yours for 1 minute.
Mr. President, I wish to request more than 1 minute.
Mr. President, this
I don't
limits his
believe that.
time for speaking in the Senate.
Order. Be quiet.
Mr.
Okay,
President.
Senator, you have the floor for more than a minute. Just yield when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today with grave concern about the direction this Senate is headed in. I find it alarming that my colleagues wish to establish a new norm in this Senate, where those who break the law are allowed to get away with it. In the dead of night, at 3 a.m, a justified subpoena was rescinded by 3 other members of the Government Oversight and Judiciary. I was never consulted, there was no discussion within the committee, and quite frankly, I am not surprised this vote was conducted in the dark while our constituents slept. I think that my colleagues are ashamed. Ashamed that they couldn't put aside personal biases and friendships to uphold the rule of law, which is why the vote was held at such an odd time. To the single senator that's here and voted to rescind the subpoena. Am I right in saying that? And to make matters worse, the 3 that voted to rescind all hold leadership positions some way. Is that the behavior of a leader? What exactly were you leading? Leading an attack to the Senate's right to congressional oversight? Leading a betrayal against the will of our constituents? Thank you, Mr. President. This was sent at 3:11 in the morning. It reads, after thinking in extensive talks with members of this committee and others, I believe that this committee should have never decided to subpoena the 3 members of C-SPAN. Firstly, Congress creates laws, not enforces it. And although we have an added power of oversight, since this hearing would be regarding a potential violation, would that not be a matter for the authorities who do enforce the law or investigate such violations? For example, the FBI, I'm sure, would be very much willing to investigate these matters. Secondly, as much as I respect Senator Prime, it seems odd that instead of first attempting to do a hearing, we go straight to a subpoena. I understand he first wished for a hearing for the purpose of a checkup, but I personally believe that that was not the real reason and could have been made upfront. In addition, he has been issuing subpoenas left and right. Evidence can be seen in the arms. Mr. President, can we get order in the gallery? Anyways. Evidence can be seen in the Armed Services Committee, and who's to say it won't occur in the Foreign Affairs Committee? If we really want to conduct oversight, I think it's only fair we did so at the hearing first, with an actual purpose other than checkup. I also want to further mention that Congress has never checked up on C-SPAN because it has been the most active and has maintained its boundaries as a more neutral media outlet. I just think it's ironic that we are deciding to check up on an outlet which has been fine and not needed a hearing ever at all. Again, if they did violate something, there isn't much Congress can do. I apologize for the lengthy response, but I just state this to basically withdraw our subpoena. I no longer have confidence in this hearings we are attempting, end quote. Let's dissect this first part of the senator's message. Firstly, Congress creates laws, not enforces them. For example, the FBI, I'm sure, would be very much willing to investigate these matters. To the senator who stated this, who's here with us in spirit today, why do we hold hearings at all then? Why did we hold hearings on Mad Max, on Canadian, on Ender Mastery, why didn't we just call the FBI every single time? Hearings are oversight, and oversight is the job of Congress. Suggesting we simply hand off everything to the FBI is not our job. It sounds to me like my colleagues don't want to show up for our constituents and do the work that they were elected to do. Now the second part. Secondly, as much as I respect Senator Prime, it seems odd that instead of first attempting to do a hearing, we go straight to a subpoena, end quote. This talks about respect, but there was no respect shown to me or the American people when this committee held a vote to rescind the subpoena at 3 in the morning without discussion. This was a coup on the Senate's ability to provide oversight and to hold those who break the law accountable. Mr. President, there are people still talking in the gallery. He claims that we went straight to a subpoena. Anyone who read my original message would know that the checkup was not baseless, but the beginning of an investigation that was clear there was a United States Code violation. Let me be clear.
Mr. Senator, one moment. Senator Doge, please sit down. I understand you may have concerns, but Senator has the floor. With that, Senator, it is 5:26, as is my right per Robert's rules. I am giving you 1 minute, so your time will be up at 5:28. You may continue.
Thank you. Now let me be clear. We did invite C-SPAN to a hearing, and they refused. They lawyered up even. They made concerning statements like, possibly, if I come out alive after this hearing. They ran from accountability, forcing our hand to subpoena, as is our right under congressional. That seems to have been grossly missed by the senators who voted to rescind the subpoena. And I will yield the floor there and continue on later. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, the floor is now open for other remarks. Senator Doge. Yes, Senator, you may have the floor for 2 minutes. Sorry, Senator, your allotted time is up. Please return to your seat.
Mr. President.
Mr. President. I would like to point of order the chair.
Senator, what is your point of order?
Earlier you stated that, according to Robert's Rules of Order, you're able to force senators to stop speaking. I don't believe anywhere in Robert's Rules of Order does it allow the chair to have ultimate say over whether or not someone can speak on the floor.
Okay, well, that's something we have to talk about another time. Senator Doge, if you would like to continue, please go ahead. Senator, okay. Senator, please stay on topic. If you begin to converse with other members in this chamber, I will be forced to take the floor back from you.
Okay.
The floor is open for any other
Mr.
remarks.
President, I move for the floor.
Mr. President.
All right, the senator from New York, you have the floor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now let me continue. As I was saying, now for the second part of the senator's message. Quote, secondly, as much as I respect Senator Prime, it seems odd that instead of first attempting to do a hearing, we go straight to a subpoena, and I will be repeating this part for those that know. The talks about respect, but there is no respect shown to me or the American people when the committee held a vote to rescind the subpoena at 3 a.m. without discussion. This was a coup on the Senate's ability to provide oversight and to those who break the law accountable. He claims we went straight to a subpoena. Anyone who read my original message would know that the checkup was not baseless, but the beginning of an investigation that would reveal a clear United States Code violation. Let me be clear. We did invite C-SPAN to a hearing. They refused, they lawyered up, they made concerning statements like, quote, possibly, if I come out alive after this hearing, end quote. They ran from accountability, forcing our hand to use this, as is our right under congressional. That seems to have been grossly missed by the senators who voted to rescind the subpoena. Next, it was stated, quote, Congress has never checked up on C-SPAN because it has been the most active and has maintained its boundaries as a more neutral media outlet, end quote. Mr. President, that is a weak argument in itself. Activity and perceived neutrality do not place someone above the law. Did Mad Max get a pass for threatening MPD officers because he was an active diplomat? No, he didn't. No one rushed to his defense during his impeachment because he was active. Once again, it seems personal biases and friendships are clouding the judgment of my colleagues here, sending a dangerous message to this chamber. That friendships, not accountability, determine whether or not oversight occurs. And let me point out the fact that the senator states, quote, has maintained its boundaries as a more neutral media outlet, end quote. More, C-SPAN should be neutral, period. Not, quote unquote, more neutral. More neutral than what? NBC, The Hill? That's an entirely new problem that I'd be willing to investigate. But it appears that certain people on the Oversight Committee are against investigation. Mr. President, I am appalled that the fundamental principle of congressional oversight has evaporated overnight. You should have seen the look on my face when I woke up and saw what happened while I was asleep. I was stabbed in the back by the committee's chairman, who was a vocal supporter of the subpoena from the start. Yes, we are remaining parliamentary in our words. I question what changed. The senator's mind. Executive branch influence, personal biases, Well, I feel as if my colleague answered that in his statement released just a few hours ago. It reads, there have been lots of questions from constituents and the public about the ongoing investigation involving C-SPAN and why individuals were called to a Senate hearing. I want to address that directly and provide full context. The investigation was led by Senator Prime Max. After certain concerns were brought to his attention, invitations to appear before the Senate were sent out to Mr. Director Scott, Mr. Cool Cameron 241, and Mr. Raleigh _Jebs. All three individuals initially accepted those invitations. After discussions with their legal counsel, that acceptance was later pulled. Their legal team withdrew them from appearing voluntarily. In response to that, Senator Prime Maximus motioned for the committee to...
One moment, Senator. Senator Doge, you do not have the floor. Please remain seated.
to issue congressional subpoenas to compel their testimony. That motion passed, and I fulfilled my responsibility as a chairman by issuing and delivering those subpoenas. Since then, I've had a number of conversations with the
Senator
president.
Prime, one moment. There's a motion to force yield yourself. Is there a valid second?
Mr. President, I second.
Okay, does this require... Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do the vote.
All right,
Let me
Mr.
get attendance.
Assistant Clerk, please issue a roll call vote.
Senator Bro the Man 1.
Aye.
Senator Milo Lama.
Aye.
Senator Prime Maximus.
No.
Senator Dr. Doge _0 all. With the 2/3 majority passes, Mr.
Alrighty, Senator Prime, you have been forced to yield. We will now be moving on to voting on the executive portion on our agenda.
Mr.
So I will
President.
begin to hear motions regarding that. The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I don't believe that the floor was the initial opening remarks was closed, and I move for the floor
I object.
for a very short statement.
The
I assure
senator
you.
from Wyoming has the opening remarks was closed. Okay, well, the clerk is informing me that it was closed. I'm going to go with what he's saying. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but at this moment, the floor is closed for opening remarks. So I will be hearing motions regarding the executive agenda.
Mr. President.
Was that Senator Brotherman?
Yes.
All right, you are recognized.
Barring any objection, I move to approve the entirety of our executive business by a unanimous consent.
Are there any objections to the senator's motion? Hearing none, all items on the executive portion of the agenda are passed via unanimous consent. We will now move to the legislative portion of the agenda. I will be hearing motions regarding it.
Mr. President.
Senator Brotherman.
I move to begin a vote on House Joint Resolution 7103.
Your motion is not granted at this time. I believe that the law concerning the Congressional Medal says that it needs to be awarded during an odd-numbered Congress. So, to make sure we're following that, I don't believe we should vote on it. I believe it should be tabled.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
if what you just said is correct, I move to table House Joint Resolution 7103 regarding
Is there a
awarding the
second?
Congressional Medal of Public Service to Director Angela, or however the hell you pronounce that.
Senator, please don't.
Mr.
use language like that. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, do we need to vote on that to table it?
Yes.
Okay. Will the secretary or assistant secretary please issue a roll call vote?
Senator Bro the Man 1.
Aye.
Senator Dr. Doge _0 all. Senator Prime Maximus.
Aye.
Senator Milo Lama.
Aye.
It was 4 in the affirmative.
All right. The item will
Just
be
to
tabled.
clarify,
Yep.
how long are they tabling it for? Until next session, permanently? And can they clarify that?
Mr. President, I'll clarify.
Go ahead.
It will be tabled till the next session.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's just for the record.
I will now be hearing any motions regarding the other items on the agenda.
Mr. President, I move. Sorry. Mr. President,
Senator, you are recognized.
I move to vote on House Resolution 7103.
Is there a second?
First, the secretary has to read the purpose of it at the instruction of the presiding officer. So,
Okay. Will the secretary please read the purpose of the bill?
I guess I'm reading. One moment. The purpose of this act is to replace the outdated headings of 7 U.S. Code subsection 511 and 16 U.S. Code subsection 104 with updated headings that accurately reflect the content. And that's it.
My apologies,
I will
Mr.
now-
President.
It's all right. I will now be hearing motions regarding the bill.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming.
one moment. Given the most recent Office of the Revision Council July 2025 audit log, it seems as if both of these headings have been fixed and approved and added to the United States United States Code as of July 1st, 2025. Therefore, I move to table HR 7103 indefinitely with unanimous consent.
I don't think you
Is-
can table unanimous consent.
All right. One moment as I review the rules, please. Will the assistant secretary please DM me where they are getting their information?
I don't have the Senate standing rules up. We've just never done tabling motions via unanimous consent. It's always been via a second and then a vote. So
Okay, well then it doesn't need to be unanimous consent. We can just, someone can second it and then we can vote on it.
All right.
I
So I will be hearing motions regarding the bill. Senator Doge. Is there a second?
I second.
With a valid second being heard, we will move to a vote. Will the secretary or assistant secretary please issue a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Senator
Okay.
Pro the Man 1. Oh, never mind.
Sorry, guys. Senator Braven Manafon.
Aye.
Senator Prime Maximus.
Aye.
And Senator Milo Lama. I'm not sure.
Aye.
Okay. Senator Dr. Doge. Aye. Oh. And President Pro Tempore Senator 9. How do you vote on the motion to table House Joint Resolution 7102
That's
indefinitely?
incorrect. It's House Resolution 7103, clerk.
It's House Bill, actually.
House
Sorry,
Bill
yeah.
what?
No, it's
7103.
resolution.
Okay, sorry, my bad. How do you vote? Senator 9.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. You have 5 ayes, there are abstains, there are nays, Mr. President.
Okay, the bill. Sorry, Senator, I was wrong. The bill is tabled indefinitely. I will now be hearing motions regarding HR 7104, Department. Or sorry, before I do that, will the Assistant Secretary please read the
Point of
purpose
order,
of
Mr.
HR
President.
7104?
I think the senator has a point of order before we proceed.
Yes, Senator, what is your point of order?
I don't believe the bill can be tabled indefinitely.
Well, Senator, unfortunately, that's what we did, and it was passed by a vote. So we can talk about it later. I will be hearing. Will the Assistant Secretary or Secretary please read the purpose of HR 7104?
The purpose of this act is to promote clarity and consistency within the Department of Homeland Security's rank structure following an internal rank restructuring. That's all.
I will now be hearing motions regarding the bill.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I move to vote on HR 7104.
Is there a second?
I second.
With a valid second being heard, we will move to a vote. I will try to use the command. Let me know if it's working.
That was not the correct command. It's vote S and then HR 7104.
Okay, thank you. All right, please cast your votes. Okay, with 4 ayes, 1 abstain, and a proxied. I'm not sure if there are proxies. No, there aren't. So the bill passes. It seems like my messaging still isn't working, so we'll stick to roll call votes. I will now hear motions regarding. Sorry, nope. Will the secretary or assistant secretary please read the purpose for HR 7201, White House Military Office Access Authorization Act of 2025?
Alright, get up. To operationalize an access update approved by the Department of State, DOS, this bill directs the developer team to modify permissions to allow the White House Military Office, WHMO, to access specific entry points at the Department of State building. That's all.
Okay, I will be hearing motions regarding the bill.
Mr. President,
Senator Brotherman,
I move to vote on House Bill 7201.
is there a second?
I
Mr.
second.
President, I second.
With a valid second being heard, will the secretary, we will move to a vote. Will the secretary or assistant secretary please issue a roll call vote?
Okay. Senator Bro the Man One.
Aye.
Senator Dr. Doge. Senator Prime Maximus.
Aye.
Senator Milo Lama.
Aye.
President Pro Tempore 9.
Aye.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 A's, I believe. Yeah, there's 6 A's and 0 proxies.
All right, so the bill passes. Okay, I will now be hearing motions regarding Senate Joint Resolution 7201. Sorry. Will the Secretary or Assistant Secretary please read the purpose of SJ Res 7201?
Whereas HJ Res 7102 passed both houses of Congress on June 13th, 2025, and was thereafter ratified, adding a new eligibility paragraph to Article 1, Section 2, whereas HJ Res 7102 expressly directed that the paragraph be appended to the end of Article 1, Section 2, but that placement has proven confusing and inconsistent with the logical flow of qualifications for the office of representative, whereas Congress now deems it necessary to relocate that paragraph to its intended position and confirm the text of Article 1, Section 2. Accordingly, resolved that the following amendment be applied to Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, which shall repeal all amendments made by H.J. Res. 7102. And that's it.
All right, I will be hearing motions regarding the joint resolution.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I move to vote on the resolution.
Is there a second?
I second.
With a valid second being heard, will the Secretary or Assistant Secretary please administer a roll call vote?
Senator Bro, the man one.
Aye.
Senator Dr. Doge _ 0 alt. Senator Prime Maximus.
No.
Is that a nay or?
Yes.
Okay, say nay next time instead of no, because that's not valid. Senator Milo Lama.
Aye.
President Pro Tempore 9 _ on.
A.
If I'm not wrong, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 A's and 1 nay.
Okay.
Correct.
Given that I believe this amendment needs a 2/3 majority, does it pass?
If I'm not wrong, yes. I can calculate it real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide. It passes.
Okay. The Senate Joint Resolution passes and will be forwarded to the House. Will the Secretary or Assistant Secretary please read the purpose of Senate Resolution 7202?
Whereas the current language of Rule IV, Section 5, concerning unanimous consent introduces ambiguity and unnecessarily lengthy time requirements, whereas unanimous consent is intended as a streamlined procedure for handling non-controversial business and should reflect clarity, efficiency, and fairness, whereas the 1-hour minimum review period strikes a balance between, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this word.
Expediency.
Expediency and transparency, whereas it is in the interest of the Senate to ensure that all motions for unanimous consent are considered fairly and that the legitimate objections are respected without procedural delays. Resolved that Rule IB Section 5 of the Senate Standing Rules be amended from, and that's it.
Okay, I will be hearing motions regarding the resolution.
Mr. President,
The senator from New York is recognized.
I move for the floor.
I'm currently not
Mm.
hearing motions for the floor, Senator. We are hearing motions regarding the current
Ye-
item on the agenda. So your motion
Yeah.
is denied.
Point
I
of
will
order,
now
Mr.
be hearing
President.
motions regarding the
Point of
item.
order.
What is your point of order, Senator?
Senators have a right to debate on a bill or a resolution.
Okay. Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, I believe that this Senate resolution is extremely dangerous. The 7-hour time slot is there for a reason. An hour doesn't provide senators enough time to object or look over whatever the senator wants to unanimous consent. It's Discord. Not everyone's going to be on Discord around the clock, so we need to have some more common sense on things like this and vote no to this resolution. I yield.
Thank you, Senator. I will now be hearing motions regarding the resolution.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I move for the floor.
All right, you have the floor.
Mr. President, as it's proven time and time again, it's just not. There's no point in holding a unanimous consent vote over Discord, because of the 7-hour time requirement and the 2-hour notice to the presiding officer. This bill allows more unanimous consents to be held over Discord, rather than roll call votes. And that's why I think that the senators should vote aye on this bill. Thank you. I yield.
Mr. President,
Who's that? Senator from New York. You are recognized.
I move for the floor to debate on this resolution.
You have the floor.
I can agree with my colleague on some parts of this resolution, but again, I just don't think it's smart removing the 7-hour time slot as, for example, our friend here, Doge, is in Europe. What if it was night? An hour is not enough for our colleague here to see that someone wants to move something via unanimous. So therefore, I continue to urge senators to keep this rule in place. I yield.
All right. I will be hearing motions regarding the bill.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming.
I move to the floor to debate just one last time.
The floor is yours, Senator.
Colleagues, as you can see in the resolution, section 5, Rule 5, section B of the amended language. My apologies. Rule 5, section A of the amendment online. It's actually in the first paragraph. It says a minimum period of 1 hour, meaning that it's up to the presiding officer to decide when the motion is approved. If he feels that there is not enough concurrence through the senators, or that a senator hasn't seen it, he is allowed to keep the floor open for extended periods of time. Again, the 1 hour is just a minimum and is not the maximum amount of time allotted for unanimous consent motions to be approved. Thank you. I yield.
Mr. President,
The senator from New York.
I move for the floor.
The floor is yours.
We cannot be leaving unanimous consent and time for members of our chamber to see unanimous consent requests up to chance. We need to have it clearly defined in our standing rules, which we already do. I think that this resolution is going to be harmful for our chamber, so I urge members to vote against this resolution. I yield the floor.
Okay, I will be hearing motions regarding the resolution. Senator Doge. Is there a second?
I second.
With a valid second being heard, we will move to a vote on the resolution. Will the secretary or assistant secretary please administer a roll call vote?
Senator Bro, the man, 1.
Nay.
Senator Dr. Doge _ 0 alt. Senator Prime Maximus.
Nay.
Senator Milo Lama.
Abstain.
President Pro Tempore 9 _
Abstain.
There is 2 nays and 2 abstentions.
Correction. 3 nays, 2 abstains.
Oh yeah, that's my bad.
Okay, so the resolution passes.
Point of order.
No, it does not.
It does not pass.
Okay. Could the assistant clerk assistant secretary or secretary please give me the votes, the final tally.
3 nays and 2 abstentions.
Okay, with 3 nays and 2 abstentions, the resolution fails. And with that, okay, having finished all business within our agenda for the session, I will now allow for a brief period for any closing remarks.
Mr.
Mr.
President,
President.
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
before moving to closing remarks, it seems as if this quorum has now increased by 1, making it an uneven number of senators. I'm unaware if we're able to untable, if you could advise or if the clerks could advise. But if it's something that we are able to do, I motion to untable House Joint Resolution 7103, so we can vote on awarding the Congressional Medal of Public Service to the DSS
I will second that.
today.
Point of order.
Yes, Senator, what is your point of order?
I believe that we're not voting on the bill. It needs to be awarded in a odd-numbered Congress, if I'm not wrong.
Can I comment on this or?
Okay, the senator is correct. It has to be awarded during an odd-numbered Congress. We are the 72nd Congress, therefore it cannot be awarded.
Mr. President,
Yes, Senator.
my apologies. I thought it was in regards to how many senators were actually in the chamber, not in regards to the number or the number of the Congress. That's my apologies.
It's all right. The floor is now open again
Mr. President,
for remarks. Yes, the senator from Wyoming.
I move for the floor.
The floor is yours.
All right, Mr. President, my colleagues, and other constituents in the gallery, I want to briefly respond to a point that was raised during opening remarks. When this body first looked into the when this committee on the Government Oversight and Judiciary first entertained the idea of inviting certain C-SPAN affiliates to testify, I had supported the move. This seemed like a harmless inquiry, routine oversight. But as the facts developed, it became more clear that this wasn't just an investigation anymore. At that point, it was no longer an inquiry. It was the identification of a statutory violation under 16 U.S. Code 102A. That moves the issue firmly out of our hands into the jurisdiction of enforcement authorities. We are lawmakers, not enforcers. And I must respect the separation of those roles. I also want to state clearly that I agree with my constituents and with the president. C-SPAN was simply doing its job. It was being active, engaged, and communicative. To belittle or attack the network for its wording, especially after the president had confirmed the cabinet appointments in question, is misguided and unfair. We cannot afford to criminalize civic engagement or confuse oversight with prosecution. Let's keep to our lane. Thank you. And I yield.
Mr. President, I move for the floor.
Excuse me, Senator, you are not recognized. Please
Oh,
sit
I'm
down.
sorry, Mr. President.
Yes, the senator from New York.
I move for the floor.
The floor is yours.
I think what we just heard was a repeat of a statement, but I think staying within our lane includes providing oversight. In no way was our committee trying to prosecute anyone. We were simply doing our jobs as we were elected here to do. Engaging in closed-door conversations with the president, unnamed senators, and unnamed constituents shouldn't suddenly change your position on a matter. So let me be very clear, Mr. President. The subpoenas weren't about enforcing the law. It was about exposing the truth, because that's what oversight is. We weren't sent here to prosecute, I understand that, but we were sent here to investigate and hold those who break the law accountable. We expose misconduct, as we have in the past. We hold public hearings to ensure transparency, as we did this afternoon. If we followed certain logic, we would have never investigated Mad Max or Ender Mastery or any of the many bad actors who have appeared before this body. We would have outsourced every investigation to the FBI and called it a day. But that's not our job. Our job is to shine a light on issues like, especially when institutions, even a nonpartisan active media outlet like C-SPAN, are suspected of crossing legal boundaries. And don't get me wrong, I admire Raleigh's work. I think he does a very good job. He's revived C-SPAN. When I was originally here, C-SPAN was as good as dead, but it is back, and I think we should acknowledge Raleigh for his work. But that doesn't mean that we can't look into situations when C-SPAN begins crossing legal boundaries. So, Mr. President, I will not stand by while constitutional oversight is treated as an option left to the side. Yes, thank you, Mr. Assistant Secretary. The duties vested in us do not include protecting the reputation of those who break the law. It is to protect the interests of our constituents and the American public. The three members, excuse me, let me parliamentary, make that parliamentary. Certain members on that committee should be disappointed. And for the President pro tempore to attack me for doing the job that I was elected by the largest margin of any senator in the most recent election to do, I was in awe. If you do not believe in congressional oversight, you shouldn't be in a committee that clearly states that in its name, or let alone be a
One
part.
moment, Senator. Sorry.
You're good.
The members in the gallery are warned to remain silent for the standing rules. Thank you. You may proceed, Senator.
Thank you. As I was saying, if you do not believe in congressional oversight, you shouldn't be in a committee that clearly states that in its name. Whether or not I'm the only voice on this floor that speaks out on it, I will always stand firm on my belief that those who break the law should be held accountable to the fullest extent, and I believe that Congress plays a part in that, as it always has. I have a track record of setting aside my own personal biases and holding criminals accountable. Sadly, it appears that some people, ironically in the Oversight Committee, don't share that same core belief after last night's betrayal of the American people. Mr. President, with that, I yield back, and I thank the Secretary for reminding me to use parliamentary procedure in my speech.
All right. The floor is open for any other remarks.
Mr. President,
Who was that?
Senator PPT 9.
Senator, the President pro tempore 9, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to apologize first for my tardiness. I was away, but nonetheless, I just want to make this quick and brief statement. I want to first apologize to those listening for this very extensive hearing, or not hearing, my bad, session. I do not understand why it took over an hour, which I was told. So again, apologies. As far as statements go, I won't respond. I'll just let it be as it was, because I do not want to, again, take further time that we wasted an hour for when our chamber across the aisle, the House, has done this in 20 minutes, and we have done it in longer than we needed to. I yield the floor. I just wanted to apologize.
Mr. President,
The senator from New York is recognized.
Which senator from New York?
Senator Prime.
I move for the floor.
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you. Mr. President, I think we need to remind our audience that they are free to leave. They don't need to stay for the whole hour, but their presence is very much appreciated. I yield the floor.
Okay, the floor is open.
Mr. President,
The senator from Wyoming is recognized.
I move to adjourn this session.
I believe Senator Doge wishes for the floor. Is that correct? Can the secretary please assist me in this?
I'm sorry. My AirPods died. What is? Can you repeat what you just said, Doge?
Yeah, so, oh, sorry.
Whichever, whomever.
Doge wants to know if the items he added are on the agenda. Could you please state the items, Doge?
I do not believe they were voted on.
No, they were not.
They were not. Wait, it was SRES.
7204.
204.
It was submitted 5 a.m. EST.
That's it. Just SRES.
I believe it was 2.
SRES 7203 was retracted.
No, he retracted the retraction. So Senate Res 7203 and 7204 are
Okay.
both meant to be voted on.
Okay, sorry. Retracting retraction is very confusing. I can't lie. We can
Mr.
vote on
President.
those, Mr. President.
Sorry, that was a lot of people speaking. Could you please repeat?
Mr. President,
Yes, the senator from Wyoming.
I stand firm on my motion to adjourn this session. Those can be voted on within the Discord. This has taken too long, way too long for any Senate session.
All right, is
And I
there
think
a
we all
second
have life
on
to
the
get back to.
motion to adjourn?
Could you repeat that, please?
Is there a second?
I second.
All right. I don't believe we need to vote on that. Okay, with a valid second being heard, the first session of the 72nd Congress of the Senate is hereby adjourned.
Y'all drink me